from Washington, this is VOA News. Ukrainian anti-government protests in Kiev get a big endorsement. Pakistan downplays anti-drone protests. I'm Ray Kouguell reporting from Washington. 3 former Ukrainian presidents have endorsed ongoing anti-government demonstrations in Kiev aimed at ousting President Viktor Yanukovych for backing out of a trade deal with the European Union. Former Ukrainian heads of state Leonid Kravchuk, Leonid Kuchma, and Viktor Yushchenko are backing the protests. U.S. Secretary of State John Kerry, speaking in neighboring Moldova, said Ukrainians have the right to choose their own future without foreign interference, an apparent reference to Moscow forcing Ukraine to scuttle the EU deal. U.S. officials say Vice President Joe Biden expressed Washington's concerns over China's new air defense identification zone during talks with President Xi Jinping in Beijing Wednesday. The officials, who asked not to be named, say the vice president indicated the U.S. does not recognize the zone and is looking to China to take steps to reduce tensions. The U.S. officials say President Xi was equally clear in laying out the Chinese view of the zone and of territorial disputes in the region. The two also held broad bilateral discussions on topics ranging from economic reforms to North Korea, which is also expected to be on Vice President Biden's agenda when he travels to South Korea today. Pakistan's national security advisor is downplaying anti-drone protests that led to a suspension of U.S. military cargo shipments in and out of Afghanistan through Pakistan's northwest. Ayaz Gul reports.
Activists of an opposition party led by former cricket star Imran Khan have been staging daily demonstrations in Khyber Pakhtunkhwa province and have pledged to do so until the United States ends drone attacks on Pakistani soil. Pakistan's advisor on national security and foreign affairs, Sartaj Aziz, Wednesday dismissed speculation that the protest could undermine the planned departure of international forces. He said that there is nothing to worry about because the Americans suspended shipments only from one route. He said NATO-bound traffic is moving smoothly through Balochistan. Ayaz Gul for VOA News, Islamabad.
Foreign ministers from NATO countries and Russia have expressed their support for a Syrian peace conference planned for next month in Geneva. The ministers say a Syrian-led political process is the only solution to the crisis. Both the Syrian government and the main coalition opposing President Bashar al-Assad have said they will attend, but it is unclear who else will take part. Meanwhile, in Syria, rockets fired into Syrian-controlled neighborhoods of Aleppo Wednesday killed at least 17 people. The Lebanese militant group Hezbollah says one of its commanders was killed and is blaming neighboring Israel for his death. The group says that Hassan al-Lakis was killed while returning to his home in southern Beirut around midnight. Sources say he was shot while sitting in his car. Israel denies any involvement. A claim of responsibility was posted on Twitter in the name of a group calling itself the Arar al-Sunna Baalbek Brigade. President Obama says the U.S. government needs to counter the decades-long trends of rising economic inequality and lack of upward mobility that he says have jeopardized the American dream. White House correspondent Dan Robinson has details.
As he prepares for new political battles over spending and other issues, Mr. Obama returned to the same themes about the threat to U.S. prosperity from the gap between rich and poor and lack of opportunity.
A dangerous and growing inequality and lack of upward mobility that has jeopardized middle-class America's basic bargain, that if you work hard, you have a chance to get ahead. I believe this is the defining challenge of our time, making sure our economy works for every working American.
Mr. Obama spoke as polls show strong majorities of Americans disapprove of his handling of the economy, with numbers the lowest of his presidency. Dan Robinson, VOA News, the White House.
The United Nations nuclear watchdog says a truckload of extremely dangerous radioactive material was stolen in Mexico. The International Atomic Energy Agency says Mexican authorities report the truck was transporting nuclear material known as cobalt-60 from a hospital in the northern city of Tijuana to a center for storage of radioactive waste material. The IAEA notes that the cobalt-60 was properly shielded when the truck was stolen, but warns it could become extremely dangerous if removed from the shielding or damaged. I'm Ray Kouguell, VOA News. These and other stories on our website at voanews.com.